The rain was falling hard when Jace stepped into the old storage room. The place smelled like metal, oil, and forgotten memories. He had just buried his alien stepfather, Varrock, and now stood in front of the strange metal crate that came with the will. Jace didn't care much for Varrock's alien traditions. The man had been distant, more focused on his machines than on family. But Varrock had raised Jace after his mother died, and now he had left him everything, or so the lawyer said. This crate, the lawyer had explained, is not to be opened until you're alone. Varrock was clear about that. So Jace waited until nightfall when everyone was gone. He pulled out a plasma tool and unlocked the crate. With a hiss, the top lifted open. Cold mist rolled out, and Jace stepped back, heart racing. Inside was a girl. No, not just any girl. She was clearly alien. Her skin was a pale lavender with soft glowing freckles. Long silver hair flowed down her shoulders. She lay there, curled up like she was sleeping, wearing a smooth white suit that hugged her body like second skin. Suddenly her eyes opened bright violet, glowing faintly. She sat up and looked straight at Jace. "You are Jace, Varna?" she asked softly, her voice clear and calm. He nodded, too shocked to speak. "My name is Lyri. I was bonded to your house by your stepfather's will. As his final wish, I now belong to you." Jace dropped the tool. "You belong to me. What does that even mean?" Lyri stepped out of the crate, bare feet touching the cold metal floor. She looked around, confused, then slowly walked toward him. "I was your stepsister's closest friend. We were raised together for years. Before she left this planet, she asked me to stay close to her family. When she died, your father made the bond legal. I was put into stasis until you were ready to claim me." Jace shook his head. "Claim? This isn't a pet adoption." Lyri tilted her head. "I am not a pet. I am your companion. I will assist you, protect you, live with you, sleep beside you, if you wish. My species bond through closeness. Sleep beside no. Wait, what?" he blurted, taking a step back. Lyri blinked. "You look confused. Was this not explained to you in the will?" Jace opened the folder he had tossed aside earlier. Inside was a short note, handwritten in Varrock's blocky letters. "Jace is not a machine, nor a servant. She is family. Do not fear her. She was always meant for you." He stared at the note, then at Lyri. "Why would he give me a person?" Lyri smiled gently. "Because he trusted you, and because I asked him to. You asked for this. I wanted to stay with the only family I had left, your stepfather, and now you." Jace backed up to the wall. This was too much. A glowing alien girl, a strange will, some kind of cultural bond. He didn't understand, and she just stood there like she belonged in his house. "I don't even have an extra bed," he muttered. "Then I will share yours," she said without hesitation. "What? No, you can't just. It is normal for my people. We share sleep to build trust. But if it offends you, I will sleep on the floor." Jace groaned. "This is insane." Then she did something that completely froze him. She reached out and gently touched his arm. Her fingers were cool and smooth, and where she touched, his skin tingled. "I'm not here to harm you, Jace. I only ask for a place to belong." He didn't know what to say. He didn't even know what to feel. But something deep inside him, the part that had always felt alone after his mother died, stirred. "Fine," he said, finally. "You can stay. But this doesn't mean I accept all this bonding stuff." "All right." Lyri gave a small nod. "Understood. May I sleep now?" Cryosleep leaves the mind very tired. Jace sighed. "Yeah, the bed's upstairs. We'll figure everything else out tomorrow." She walked toward the stairs, quiet and graceful, then looked back once with a strange expression. "I'm glad you opened the crate," she said. Jace watched her disappear into the hallway. He stood there, staring at the empty crate, the will in his hand, and the strange feeling growing in his chest. Whatever had just entered his life was not going to be easy to understand, but it was definitely going to change everything. *Jace woke up with a strange weight on his chest. Warm, soft breathing. His eyes snapped open, and there she was. Lyri. The alien girl was curled up against him, silver hair spread across his pillow, one leg draped over her head resting just below his chin. Her soft breath tickled his neck. What the she stirred, eyes opening slowly, glowing faintly in the dim morning light. "Good morning," she said softly, as if this was normal, as if they had always slept like this. Jace pushed himself up. "Lyri, what are you doing?" "You said I could stay," she replied calmly. "Yeah, stay in the house, not in my bed. You said there was no extra bed. Floor sleeping lowers core temperature. Sharing body warmth is healthier. I am bonded. This is expected." "Expected? By who?" he asked, rubbing his face. "By me, and by the rules of my people." Jace jumped off the bed and backed away. "Okay, look, we need boundaries. You can't just climb into bed with someone like a cat." Lyri tilted her head. "I am not a cat. I am a Venari female. We bond through shared breath and steady heartbeats. Sleep is sacred." Jace grabbed a spare blanket and tossed it to the couch. "From now on, this is your sleep spot. You want warmth? I'll get you a heater. But no more sneaking into my bed." She picked up the blanket, touched it gently, then looked at him with a calm but unreadable expression. Very well. But this will slow our bond. Good, Jace muttered under his breath. Slower is better. Leary said nothing. She walked toward the window, gazing at the sunrise with thoughtful eyes. I dreamed of her, she whispered. Jac paused. Who? Your stepsister. My best friend. We used to dream together as children. We would share the same visions while asleep. Sometimes we'd wake up laughing. He looked at her, suddenly unsure. What was she like? She was fierce. She once bit a soldier's tail because he insulted her friend. That friend was me. Leary turned to face him. I promised her I would never leave this planet. I told her I would protect her family. That is you now. Jace felt something shift inside. Maybe this wasn't just about weird alien customs. Maybe, in her own way, Leary was keeping a promise made long ago. Still, things weren't normal. Later that day, Jace went to work in the repair bay. His shop was quiet, tucked behind a row of collapsed storage domes on the edge of the colony. He liked working with machines. They didn't talk, they didn't cuddle, and they definitely didn't stare at you in your sleep. But halfway through patching a damaged hovercore, he felt a presence behind him. Leary, he said without turning. You followed me. I am assigned to assist. I don't need assistance. You dropped this, she said, holding out his cum-link on his side. Fine, but don't touch anything unless I say so. Leary nodded and sat down quietly. She didn't fidget, didn't speak, just watched. It was unnerving. Why are you staring? I am memorizing your movements, your hands, your tools. I wish to learn how to fix things too. Jace hesitated. You want to be a mechanic. I want to be useful. He looked at her and saw something. Strange real hunger in her eyes. Not for food, not for warmth, but for purpose. She didn't just want to be some gift from his stepfather. She wanted to earn her place. All right, he said slowly. You want to learn? Then start by cleaning those parts, one piece at a time. Carefully, she stood up immediately and followed his instructions without question. For hours they worked, side by side, and for the first time, it almost felt normal until night came. Jace stood at the door of the bedroom blocking her path. You remember the couch rule? Yes, she said, and I will follow it. He nodded, stepped aside, and watched her walk quietly to the couch. She curled up under the blanket and closed her eyes. Jace waited a moment, then went to bed alone. But halfway through the night, he woke again. Not from noise, not from a touch, from silence, the kind that echoed in the heart. He sat up, looked toward the couch and saw her sitting there, awake, hugging her knees, eyes glowing faintly in the dark. Can't sleep? He asked. I'm trying, but the air is cold and I am lonely. He didn't say anything for a long time. Then he sighed, pulled off the blanket, and tossed it her way. Just this once, he muttered. She got up quietly, walked to the bed, and lay down beside him, this time leaving space. No touching, no warmth, but her voice whispered just before sleep took her. You smell like home. Jace was fixing the solar fusor when he noticed something on Leary's back. She had taken off her jacket while cleaning the filters. The sun caught her skin just right tanned. That's when he saw it, a long faint line, then another, thin scars, barely visible, running across her back like faded lightning. He froze. Leary, he said quietly, what happened to you? She stiffened, shoulders locking in place. Her hand paused, mid-scrub. Then, without turning around, she answered, nothing. That it doesn't look like nothing. She stood up quickly and pulled the jacket back on. Scars are from the cryo chamber. Sometimes the system malfunctions. That's not what those look like, Jace said, stepping closer. Those marks were made by someone, not a machine. Leary kept her back to him. You should not ask questions you're not ready to hear. Her voice was low, not angry, not cold, but scared. Jace didn't push further, not yet, but the silence between them stayed heavy for the rest of the day. That night he couldn't sleep. He lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, thinking about those scars, the way she had avoided his eyes, the way her voice trembled not from weakness, but from memory. Lir, I was hiding something. The next morning, while she was outside tending the solar net, Jace accessed his stepfather's private files. Varrock had left behind a backup terminal, locked behind an old security key. It took Jace 2 hours to crack it, and when he did, the first file he saw was marked Project Leary. His fingers trembled as he opened it. Subject is Venari female, bonded by request. Experimental exposure to high-density neural resonance may trigger long-term personality shifts. Subject requested stasis before behavioral memory could collapse. Status, stable. Authorized to pass into Jace Varner's care under sealed family protocol. Jace stared at the screen, confused. Neural resonance. Memory collapse. Experimental Leary hadn't just been bonded to the family. She had been part of something dangerous. Looking into my past, Jace jumped. She stood in the doorway, eyes shadowed, voice calm. I was just reading my file, she said, stepping into the room. Her glow seemed brighter than usual, not angry, more like alert, awake. I wasn't trying to spy, he said quickly. I was worried. Those scars, the note, what is all this? She didn't answer right away. Then she sat down across from him and looked him in the eyes. I was a volunteer, she said. For what? For memory experiments. Your stepfather worked with neural core syncing. He believed if two people shared a deep enough bond, Their memories could be connected, past preserved like mental backup. Leary nodded. Yes, he wanted to preserve your stepsister's memories inside someone he trusted. She chose me, I accepted. But what happened? There was a rupture. The bond became unstable. Some memories are mine, some are hers. Sometimes I don't know which is which. Jace felt the hair on his neck rise. So, when you talk about her when you dream, I'm not always sure if it's her memory or mine. She reached out and touched her head. Sometimes I see her in mirrors. Hear her voice when I speak, and sometimes I feel like I'm disappearing. Jace didn't know what to say. She stood up and walked to the window. That's why I entered cryosleep, to stop the bleed. Your father promised to protect me, but he knew he wouldn't live forever, so he sent me to you. He stood slowly, walking up behind her. Why didn't you tell me this before? Because I didn't know if you'd still let me stay. Jace hesitated, then gently placed a hand on her shoulder. I'm not going to send you away, Leary. She turned, looked at him, and for a second, her expression shifted. Different eyes, same glow. The warmth in her face changed shape, like someone else had blinked behind her eyes. Thank you, she whispered, voice trembling, but just as Jace opened his mouth to respond, an alert flashed on the door screen. A red symbol. Unknown. Visitor scanning. Presence detected. Leary spun around. They found me. Who? She didn't answer. Instead, she ran to the storage box and pulled out a hidden weapon, a small crystal blade glowing blue at the hilt. Jace took a step back. Wait, what is happening? She turned to him, eyes fierce. Someone wants me back. Someone who knows I carry something inside me. I don't remember who, but I know they're not here to ask nicely. The front door lock clicked. Footsteps echoed just outside. Leary raised the blade. Jace moved beside her. Whoever was about to walk through that door was not a friend, and for the first time, he realized just how dangerous this bond had become. The lock hissed open. Tall figure in black armor stepped inside, helmet mirrors reflecting the low workshop lights. In his left hand he held a pulse pistol. In his right a silver chain that glowed like ice. The pistol aimed at Jace, the chain aimed at Leary. Stand still, the intruder ordered, voice metallic, and returned the bonded female. Leary moved first. She pushed Jace behind the workbench and dived across the floor. The pulse blast hit a toolbox, spraying sparks. Jace's heart pounded. He grabbed a welding shield as cover. Who are you? He shouted. I am a collector, the man answered. The girl carries property stolen from the Venari Institute. Leary's eyes narrowed. I carry memories, not property. Another pulse bolt slammed into the bench, warping the metal. Jace smelled burnt aluminum. They had seconds. He spotted the hover lift resting under a broken shuttle panel. Fully charged, he met Leary's gaze and pointed. She gave a slight nod. JACE hit. The lift's remote. The heavy panel shot upward, smashing into the collector's arm. The pistol flew free. Leary sprinted, kicked the gun under a crate, then slashed at the chain with her crystal blade. The chain cracked but did not break. The collector roared and swung the chain. Energy arcs danced across the walls. Leary tumbled back. Jace grabbed a fusion spanner and hurled it. Direct hit to the helmet. The mirror cracked. The man staggered, then ran for the exit. Sirens echoed outside. Colony security drones, drawn by the pulse fire. The collector vanished into the street. Just as red lights flashed through the doorway, Leary's blade dimmed. He will return. Jace sank against the bench. What does he want, Leary? She knelt beside him, breathing hard. He wants the network inside my head. The half of your stepsister that still lives in me. He wants it for sale, or for power. Jace remembered the scars, the file, the words memory collapse. Then we have to stop him. First we have to run, she replied. But running is not enough. We need to finish the bond. Only a complete link can hide the data from any scan. Jace swallowed. Finished. How? Through shared sleep, she said. Through a place Venari call the Dream Crossing. She took his hand. The bed is not just a place to rest. It is the door. He stared at their joined fingers. Her skin glowed warmer than before. If we do this, is it permanent? Yes, you will carry part of me. I will carry part of you. Neither the Institute nor the Collector will be able to separate us. The sirens grew louder. Jace looked at the ruined doorway, then at Leary's hopeful face. All right, let's cross. That night, Jace locked every window of the small house. He moved the couch to block the front door. Outside, rain hammered the colony roof. In the bedroom, Leary sat on the edge of the mattress. Hands folded, hair still silver but strands now shimmered with soft blue pulses. She wore the same white suit, though it seemed to flow like liquid around her shoulders. Lie down, she said, voice gentle. Close your eyes, I will guide you. Jace lay beside her, stiff at first. Thunder rumbled overhead. Leary placed 2 fingers on his temples. Breathe with me, she whispered. Match the rhythm. In, out. Slowly the thunder drifted away. A soft hum filled his ears, like distant singing bowls. Then darkness folded back, revealing a bright plane of stars. Jace was standing, yet also flying. Leary floated beside him, her eyes now pure white light. This is the Dream Crossing, she said. Here memories take shape. A figure appeared in the starlight, a young Vainari girl with braided copper hair. She smiled at Jace. He recognized her from old photos. His stepsister, Tala. The image nodded, then touched Lyri's chest. Light flowed between them. Jace felt a warm wave roll into him, carrying echoes of childhood laughter, late night, engine repairs, secret songs under alien moons. Tears blurred his vision. He tried to speak, but voice was thought here, and thought was fast. I missed you, he sent. Protect her, Tala's echo replied, fading. Protect each other. The stars spun. Jace and Lyri stood inside a web of glowing threads that wrapped around them both, knotting tighter with each shared breath. At the center of the web burned a small red jewel. Lyri reached for it. This is the seed of the bond, she said. Touch it with trust. Jace placed his hand over hers. The jewel fled, then melted into their palms. He'd raced up his arm and across his chest. Symbols appeared on his skin, thin blue lines matching the scars on Lyri's back. He gasped, but the pain faded into a steady pulse. The same rhythm he felt in her heartbeat. It is done, Lyri said. The dream plane trembled. A shadow rose at the edge, tall, armored mirror dock. The collector had forced his way into the crossing. Wake up, Lyri warned. Jace snapped open his eyes. Night filled the room. The window cracked inward, glass scattering. A grappling hook clawed the sill. But Jace felt different. His vision saw more than dark. It traced heat, sound, even the faint electric field of the intruder. He moved with new certainty, flipping from the bed, catching the hook rope, and yanking hard. The collector crashed against the wall outside. Lyri leaped to the window, slammed the frame down, and sealed it with a burst from her blade. Energy fused glass to metal. Rain hissed off the glowing seam. Jace stood, skin still pulsing blue. I can feel you, he said inside my mind. I can feel you, she answered. A calm smile touched her lips. The bed was just the start. Now the bond is real. Outside, the collector cursed and retreated into the storm. Lyri looked at Jace. He will come again, stronger, but he cannot break what we have made tonight. Jace nodded, heartbeat sinking with the blue glow in his veins. Then let him try. Thunder rolled overhead, but inside the room there was only shared breath and the steady hum of two lives woven into one. Jace stood in the mirror, staring at his chest. The lines were still there, blue markings, thin and glowing, traced from his shoulder down across his ribs. They looked like ancient symbols, alive and softly pulsing with every heartbeat. When he touched them, his fingers tingled like static. They weren't fading, they were part of him now. You are changing, Lyri said from behind him. He turned. She was standing at the doorway, her silver hair tied back, her eyes brighter than usual. But her gaze wasn't proud, it was worried. I feel stronger, Jace said, clearer too. But this isn't normal, is it? Lyri stepped forward, touching the markings on his skin. These marks mean the bond is active, but something else is happening. You absorbed more than just my presence, you mean? Memories. Lyri hesitated. Yes, and maybe something deeper. You shouldn't be this synced with me unless... What? Unless your DNA is reacting, matching mine. Jace stared. Wait, that's not supposed to happen, is it? No, she said. This is not bonding, this is fusion. Suddenly the air changed. The lights flickered. A sharp pulse rang through the house, vibrating through the walls. Jace grabbed the table to keep his balance. Lyri's pupils narrowed. He's scanning again, she said. The collector, a high-pitched whine buzzed outside the windows. Lyri rushed to the console and pulled up a map. 3 small red dots blinked on the outskirts of the colony. They're triangulating, she said, trying to locate the fusion point. You're giving off a signature now, Jace. You're like a beacon, then I'm the target now. Lyri nodded. Yes, that's what I was afraid of. Jace looked at his arms, the glowing lines spreading slowly across his skin like vines. Is this dangerous? To you, Lyri paused. No. To them, yes. Good. Lyri blinked. You're not afraid. Jace grinned slightly. I spent most of my life alone, fixing broken engines. Now I'm bonded to a powerful alien girl and hunted by assassins. Honestly, I finally feel like I matter. Lyri smiled. You do, but you also matter to them now. And they'll come at night. When the bond is resting, they think I'll be weaker in my sleep. But they don't know, she said, stepping close, that the dream is where we're strongest. That night, they didn't sleep apart. Lyri lay beside Jace, her forehead resting against his. Their breath matched. The glow between them rose and fell with rhythm like waves. He drifted deeper, pulled into the dream, crossing again, but it was different this time. The starlit sky was darker. The web between their minds stretched farther, reaching corners Jace had never seen. Memories flickered through the threads. Lyri as a child, laughing with Tala, running across floating gardens, crying alone in cryosleep. Then, suddenly, he saw one memory that wasn't hers. A metal chair, bright lights, cold voices, a drill slicing the air. Pain. Jace gasped. He stepped back, but the memory grabbed him, pulling him deeper. And there in the shadows was the collector, but not in armor. In a lab coat. Human, smiling cruelly. That's him, Lyri said, appearing beside Jace. That was before he changed himself. Before he became a hunter, he experimented on you. She nodded. He tried to rip the bond from my mind, failed, and now he hunts what he couldn't control. The dream shook, flashes of fire, screams, energy bursting through stars. A symbol floated in the center of it, all a glowing sigil like the one on Jace's chest, but red. Twisting, Jace reached toward it, but Leary grabbed his hand. Don't touch that. Why? Because that's not ours. That's his mark. They woke at the same time. Jace sat up, sweating, the lines on his skin now glowing brighter than ever. Leary pressed her hand against his chest. You're stabilizing, she whispered. But he's almost here. A beeping echoed through the console. Colony security systems had been bypassed. The collector was inside the perimeter. Leary pulled on her jacket and tossed Jace a tool belt. We have maybe 10 minutes. Where do we go? We don't run, she said. Not anymore. We anchor the bond fully. Through motion. What motion? Dance, Jace blinked. You want me to dance while someone's trying to kill us? In Venari culture, combat and bonding are one. We move together. We defend together. The collector won't be able to break the pattern if we form it now. Jace looked into her glowing eyes. You're serious? Leary held out her hand. Let the bond guide your steps. He grabbed her hand. The lights dimmed. And in that moment, as thunder rolled and footsteps approached their door, Jace and Leary moved in it just as two people, but as a pattern, a code, a shield of rhythm made from shared breath and belief. The collector wouldn't just be facing two fugitives now. He would be facing a bonded force stronger than anything he ever created. Asterisk. The door exploded inward. Metal and smoke flew across the room, shattering the furniture. The collector walked through the fire like a shadow with legs, now fully armored, helmet sealed, gauntlets crackling with red energy. Behind him hovered two small drones, each one glowing with the same strange red light as the mark Jace had seen in the dream. Target identified, the collector said. Bond incomplete. Prepare for extraction. Jace stood between the invader and Leary, heart pounding, every line on his body lit like lightning under skin. But Leary didn't flinch. She stepped forward, calm, focused, alive in a way Jace hadn't seen before. Jace, she said softly, whatever happens, stay with me. I'm not going anywhere, he said. Suddenly Leary's body began to change. Her skin shimmered, no longer soft lavender but layered with faint geometric lines, almost like armor growing under the surface. Her eyes glowed white, then flickered into a deep burning blue. Her voice deepened slightly, layered with a second tone. I was made to protect, she said, her feet lifting an inch off the floor. Not to serve, not to be sold. Jace stared. What are you? The collector laughed. She's a prototype, Fainery biotech, an unfinished fusion of soul and synthetic mind. She doesn't know what she really is. But Leary turned her glowing gaze toward him. I know now. She raised her arms. Light burst from her palms, forming twin shields in midair. Her feet struck the ground again, but now it cracked beneath her. Jace stepped back in awe. This wasn't the quiet, nervous girl who curled up beside him. This was something more, something born from her pain, her promise, and their bond. I was not created, she said coldly to the collector. I was chosen. The collector raised his hand. The red drones fired. Leary's shield snapped together, deflecting both blasts. She dashed forward, faster than sight. Her blade flashed across the collector's chest plate. Sparks flew, and he stumbled back. Jace ran toward the workbench, grabbing the upgraded pulse rifle he had built months ago. Leary, he shouted, left flank. She moved instantly, reacting to his voice like a second thought in her mind. Their bond was no longer emotional, it was tactical. Together they fought like they had trained for years. Jace fired. Leary struck. They dodged and circled the collector, who was growing slower, more frustrated. You are not compatible, the armored man snarled. Human minds are weak. The bond is corrupt. No, Leary replied, voice glowing with layered tone. The bond is human. That's why it's strong. Suddenly the collector released a shockwave. Energy rippled outward, throwing Jace across the room. He hit the wall hard, gasping for breath. His ribs screamed. Leary turned, but too late. The collector slammed her with a massive fist charged with red plasma. She crashed through the far wall, vanishing in dust and sparks. Leary, Jace cried. Dragging himself up, he staggered toward her, coughing, but she was already getting up. Her hair now floated as if underwater, and glowing circuits ran down her arms. Her voice echoed through the room, no longer soft but like thunder inside his head. You hurt him. The collector hesitated. You shouldn't have done that. Leary flew at him, flew on her. Strike cracked the collector's chest plate, wide open. His armor sparked violently. One drone exploded. The other fled. Leary landed beside Jace and knelt down. Her face was wild with power, but her hands were soft as she touched his side. Your ribs are cracked, she said, but you'll live. You're floating. He whispered. I'm stabilizing, she replied, because of you. I thought you were just a girl, he said with a weak smile. I thought so too, she whispered. Suddenly, the collector made one final move, pulling a hidden spike from his wrist and aiming it at her heart. Jace didn't think he moved faster than he ever had. pushing Leary out of the way, and the spike plunged into his side. Time froze. Leary screamed. The collector stepped back, but his body was failing. His systems had overloaded. He collapsed against the doorframe, coughing. Armor melting, but Jace was down. Blood ran from his side. Glowing faint blue dot LIR. I caught him as he fell. No, 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 stay with me. His eyes fluttered. Hey, I thought I was the protector. You are, she whispered, voice breaking. But I have one last gift left. She pressed her glowing hand over the wound. Light poured into Jace's chest, pulses of energy, deep and bright. He gasped, then his back arched, then everything went still. He woke up, inside the dream again, but this time he wasn't alone. Leary stood beside him, fully formed, her hands linked with his. You are not just healed, she said. You are part of me now. We are bonded not just by promise, but by purpose. Jace looked at his hands, now steady, glowing with the same blue veins she carried. I'm not human anymore, am I? Leary smiled. You're more than that. Jace sat on the edge of the rooftop, the twin moons rising behind him. The wind was gentle, carrying the scent of melted metal and damp earth. Below, the lights of the colony flickered quietly, still, recovering from the night's chaos. Beside him, Leary stood barefoot, silent. They hadn't spoken much since the fight, since he died then came back. His chest still pulsed with blue light beneath the skin. Not just scars now, not just marks. A living pattern, a memory map of something far beyond human. I'm not sure what I am anymore, Jace finally said. Liri sat beside him, her long silver hair blown softly by the wind. You are the first of your kind, she said, a fusion born of trust, not experiment. He looked at her. So what now? We hide, run from every lab that wants to cut me open. She shook her head. No, there is one more step left, one more choice. Jace narrowed his eyes. What kind of choice? Leary turned to face him, and in her hands, she held a crystal sphere. Soft pulses ran through it, like it held a heartbeat. This is the seed core, she explained. It stores the deepest part of our fusion. Everything we've shared, your soul, my soul, the bond, the memories of Tala. Jace frowned. It looks ... alive. It is, but it must be sealed, to keep us safe. If we do not finish the process, others can still find us, still track you. What happens if we seal it? He asked. You'll never be able to separate from me again, she said. Even in sleep, even in death, our thoughts will never be fully apart. Jace looked down at his hands. He still remembered the lonely nights, fixing machines by himself in silence, but now, he remembered something else. The sound of her breath beside him, the way her voice softened when she was worried, the warmth in her fingers when she pulled Tim from pain. I don't want to be apart from you, he said finally. Leary blinked slowly, her eyes bright with emotion. Then place your hand on the core and sleep beside me one last time, not as protector or bondmate but as partner. They lay on the small rooftop mat, the crystal sphere between their palms. As their eyes closed, the stars above seemed to lean closer. This time, the dream crossing was no battlefield, it was a field of light. Flowers glowed in slow waves. The sky rippled like soft silk. Music played in the distance, no source, only feeling. Leary stood in a simple white dress. Jace was in his old workshop clothes, but nothing about this place felt old. Everything felt final. I can feel your thoughts, he whispered. In your memories, she replied. Even the ones you buried. He smiled faintly. You saw my worst day, the day you cried in the rain with your mother's picture. Yeah, I didn't want to speak then, she said, but I sat beside you, in my memory. He looked at her. You were always beside me. Even before I knew it, she reached out. Then let's make it real forever. Together they touched the seed core in the dream. It melted into light and flowed upward like a sun rising from their palms. Threads of blue and silver wrapped around them both, then pulled tight. The crossing shimmered and something clicked into place. They woke with the sunrise. Jace's body felt still, not just rested, settled, balanced. The light in his chest no longer flickered. It pulsed steady. Leary sat up slowly beside him. Her features were softer, more human-like. Her silver hair had darkened slightly, with strands of his brown mixed in. We've finished it, she said. The bond is complete. He reached out, touching her face. You changed, so did you. Their hands linked without thinking. A quiet stillness passed between them. Then Jace looked down. The collector's body was gone. Only the cracked armor remained at the colony gate, with one final symbol burned into it, his mark crossed out. Someone had taken him or erased him. We're not safe forever, Jace said. More will come, right? Leary nodded. Maybe, but they'll find something new when they do. What else? Not broken parts, not research, not prey. A bond they can't control. Jace smiled. And they'll find we're not giving it up. She leaned her head against his shoulder. For the first time in years, Jace didn't feel alone. Not when she was beside him. Not when her thoughts were inside his. Not when his heart no longer beat just for himself. Together, they looked toward the horizon. Two hearts, one rhythm, and a future they would write together. Asterisk.